Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome once again to the Beech Grove Scouting Report. Mark Janes, along with Beech Grove boys head basketball coach Matt English, also the athletic director here at Beech Grove High School. We're recapping last week, which saw the Hornets go 1-1. And Coach, I approached you on Saturday as soon as I got to the gym prior to tip-off against Tri-West, and I said, what happened last night after I saw the results of the 20-point loss to the Sparkplugs? And you didn't mince words. You didn't have a long explanation. He said, you know what, Coach, they're just pretty good.
They're very good. They have three players of Division I caliber. One of them is going to play Division I football at Notre Dame.
Sure.
And the other two are being looked at by Big Ten type schools to play basketball. Their athleticism is out of sight. If they continue to develop, they may be able to make a run. So they put it to us a little bit, but our kids responded well in the second half. We scored 17 points in the first half,
yeah.
and their quickness and athleticism was just it really sped us up, and then we settled down a little bit and scored 45 points in the second half, and ended up we won the second half by 8 points. So I don't want to say it was good for us because I don't ever like to lose, and the kids don't either. But I think playing against that type of team showed some of our young guys varsity basketball is a different animal.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you scored 17 points in the first half, and then you finished with 62. You'd like to think that things might have been a little different, had things gone as well in the first half as they did in the second. But I know this to be true as you do with basketball. I know as a football coach, it was always tough for you to be able to duplicate that type of athleticism in practice and on film.
Absolutely. And we talked with our kids, and our kids practice hard every day. But they're 5'10", 5'11". You can't replicate 6'5", 6'6". It just can't happen. And like I said, I think early in the year it's a good experience for our guys because Speedway plays hard. Not only are they athletic, but they play hard, and they get up and get after you, and I think it will help us as we move down the road.
Yeah, I think the programs somewhat mirror each other in the type of athletes that they seem to attract. This is the kind of situation that you said that you would hope to find yourself in someday, where you have these D1 athletes that come along. I mean, that's everybody's wish, but I think even in years being familiar with them when they were a West Central Conference school, when they didn't have the D1 type player, they always had just a tough-nosed, gritty type of kid.
That's kind of the trademark of the Speedway athletic program. You can go sport to sport, excuse me, but they're always hard-nosed, they're always tough. It doesn't matter if it's baseball or basketball or football. That's the way that they prepare their kids, and you know you're in for a fight when you're playing against Speedway.
Anybody in particular play particularly well for you against Speedway?
Well, in the first half, we all kind of struggled. I thought Corey Sublett, our lone senior starter, kind of tried to hold things together, and then Charles Williams came off the bench and provided us a real spark and real good energy Friday night, to the point where we decided to start him Saturday night against Tri-West. I think Charles finished with 9 points all in the second half, but he was willing to kind of get in there and scrap and do some of the dirty work that we need to get done.
Well, you set up the segue for us. I think it's a true test of the character of a team when they suffer a 20-point loss to a solid team like Speedway and then come back and get a 66-65 win over the Tri-West Bruins. My first opportunity to see you guys play this year, it was a good old-fashioned Saturday night high school basketball game in which fans got into it, coaches got into it. In terms of the energy level, neither team really took very solid control of the basketball game. I mean, they may have gone on a bit of a run to start the contest, but your kids responded, and I think all in all, coming off a 20-point loss, it speaks well for the character that you're developing, not character in the sense that you normally think of it, but just in terms of their mental toughness to come back and win a tough ball game like that.
We were really proud of the guys over the weekend because there's a lot of different ways kids can respond to different things that happen, and we talked after the game Friday night about how would we respond and our mindset coming into the workout on Saturday morning, and the fact that we really played pretty well in the second half of that game against Speedway. Now you can talk about intensity levels and different things that may have been different, but I think by playing that well in the second half, it showed our kids that they can do it and they are capable of it. So we talked a lot about our mindset and our approach Saturday night. And I thought Corey and Charles and our seniors, Josh and Tony, really did a great job. Friday night on the bus ride home, you know, everybody has phones now and text messaging, but I got a text message. It was like 3 pages long. It was from Corey on the back of the bus. Don't worry about tonight, Coach. We're going to be ready to go again tomorrow morning. Great. And I showed our assistants, and I said, well, let's not say anything to them when we get back. Let's just tell them to come back ready to go tomorrow, and let's see. And they were. And I think Corey really did a great job getting the guys prepared and helping them bounce back for Saturday night.
You just can't put, I don't want to say a price tag on that, but you just can't, I don't think, overstate the importance of having that type of leadership. You can't develop that. Your assistants can't develop that. I mean, that's something that was developed in him, you know, quite frankly, before he got to your program. But obviously, you have created an environment in which he feels like he can step up and take that role, and that's extremely valuable to your program.
Well, I think you know this from your coaching days. The best teams are those teams that have ownership of what's going on. They're not always the most talented teams, but they're the teams where the guys are all invested into what you're trying to get done. And usually those guys are going to be pretty good because they care about what's happening. And I think Corey's kind of developed into that role for us a little bit this year after being a little bit back in the shadows. But he's seen some pretty good guys and how they operate. And I was thankful that he decided to step up into that role this weekend.
Absolutely. The game Saturday night, as we said, it maybe early on, Tri-West went on a bit of a run. No one really seized control of the basketball game, I thought. There were a lot of swings and momentum here and there. I was impressed with your rotation. I think that you felt pretty comfortable with the guys that you put in the ball game and their ability to fill their roles.
Well, I think, you know, earlier you alluded to Speedway and that they're usually pretty hard-nosed and pretty tough. And since Adam Bontrager's been out at Tri-West, that's kind of been a trademark of them also. They play hard and they try to get after you defensively. And they did get out to a quick start on us, but I was really happy with how the guys responded. You know, we were down 7 going into the second quarter and then took the lead by 2 going into the half. So we outscored them by 9 in the second quarter, and I think you hit on something key. We got energy from a lot of guys Saturday, which in a back-to-back is key because guys are going to wear down at various times, and you're going to have to sub, so you need energy from a lot of different places. But we did start Charles Williams Saturday night. I thought he gave us a good spark, but then Joe Pick came in after having started previously. Joe came in and provided a spark for us, I thought, defensively in the second quarter. And then Caleb Chumley got some things going, making some shots, and we fed off that a little bit going into the half.
I think Corey's, besides the leadership, I think his most valuable asset I saw a little bit in the second half of the Tri-West game, he's going to create some matchup problems for people.
You're exactly right. You know, I told the guys, it's funny, Monday I had a number of people compliment the guys in their effort Saturday night, and they said, but Coach, the team is so small. And I was telling the guys, you know, it's funny, but nobody said, but Coach, your small guys create such matchup problems for the opposing team. It's kind of different how people look at things, but we aren't overly big. You've seen us play now, but what we want to try to do is find where is our advantage against people. And I think you saw that Saturday night. Tri-West had a couple of big, strong kids that maybe could do some things around the basket, but Corey presented them real problems with his skill and agility away from the basket, and that was a big part of us being able to hang around Saturday night.
Shot-making decisions of your guards in the second half I thought was pretty good.
Pretty good, pretty good. We talk to our players from a standpoint of confidence. We want them to believe when they shoot it, it's going in the basket, and we don't want them second-guessing themselves. And I think you got to play from a standpoint of believing in what you're doing, or else why are we having these kids in here at 6 in the morning in the summers and doing all the things we do? So our guys, we talk about shot selection a lot in the off season. We don't talk about it a lot during the. If we have to talk about it during the season, it's a trouble. Yeah. But if it's a shot they believe they can make, it's a shot that we want them to take. And for the most part, I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
Yeah, it's nice when they're able to make that assessment on their own, and you don't have to constantly remind them what their limitations
No doubt,
are.
no doubt.
Well, again, that's a 1-and-1 weekend, and it was a great weekend, great atmosphere on Saturday night. If you weren't here, you missed a dandy, that's for sure. So moving forward now, we get right back into the conference schedule. Friday night, you're at Park Tudor. Of course, Yogi Farrell's gone. I believe the Spears kid has gone back to Martinsville, but the cupboard's certainly not bare. Park Tudor started the season off 2-0.
They're right now in a process of where they're not rebuilding, they're reloading. And they have a number of kids back from the team that's won 2 in a row. A very good player, Trayvon Blewett, who will be playing in the Big Ten, I believe, at Michigan here in a couple years, hopefully really soon. But the other thing is they have some young kids, but those kids have still been in a program that's won 2 state championships.
Sure.
So they have expectations, and they've seen how things are done. So they're a very good basketball team again this year, and we'll have our work cut out for us.
Well, we talked about it during the state finals with the IHSAA and football with guys like Lance Scheib, the football coach at Noblesville, and the same is true as basketball. In basketball, I'm sure when you have an opportunity like Park Tudor has had the last couple of years to extend your season by 5 weeks over your opponent, that gets those young kids ready, and that's where that tradition and reloading comes in, and you don't have to rebuild. That's huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, they say success breeds success, and these kids don't want to be known as the team that didn't follow Farrell. They want to be known as a team that did follow Farrell, and they're doing a great job, and Coach Schilling's got them playing hard and playing very well.
So what do you have to take from last weekend into this weekend in order to be successful?
Well, we both alluded to the fact that we could use Friday night as a learning experience for our team because Speedway's a very good team. So what did we take away from that game? We talked about our mental preparation going into that game. How can we improve that? We also took away from the fact that maybe we weren't quite as confident as we needed to be going into the Speedway game.
Sure.
And that's something that we need to carry forward entering any game. And I think this is a really good opportunity for us Friday night to see how have we grown in the last week.
Well, and I think the message, it is as simple as this. And I talked to Mark Weller about this during football season when they came up against Ritter, came up against Speedway. At some point, a group of kids at Beech Grove High School are going to have to say, you know what? We're as good as Speedway. We're as good as Park Tudor. We're as good as Ritter. They have to be the bunch that set the standard. And I think that's what, as a program, that we're working toward here at Beech Grove.
I think you're absolutely right. And we have a lot of programs who are really trying to build that attitude as they enter the season and enter a contest. And that's why I'm really excited for tomorrow night's game. We've had a really good week of practice this week. I hope that carries over to tomorrow night because like I said, I want to see how our players have grown in this week because they can play with anybody. I believe that about them. There are certain things that we have to do, but if we do them, we can be competitive with anybody.
And that's, we'll call it an intimate setting. That's rather, you know, I mean, people are right there on top of you. I mean, there's not a lot of room. And, you know, if a kid feels claustrophobic, he's going to have trouble playing at Park Tudor.
You know, I remember hearing Larry Bird talk about the Michigan State zone that he had to play against in 1977 when they were in a championship game. And they had Magic Johnson and a couple other 6'7", 6'9" guys with long arms. And he said it felt like there were 7 or 8 of them out there. And sometimes at Park Tudor, you get that feeling everybody's just right there on top of you. But it'll be crowded, and their students will be there. And our student following's been excellent this year, even on the road. And I think it'll be an exciting environment.
Back-to-back conference games. You get a week off before you come back the 14th and travel to LaPel. They are 2-1 on the season, but no disrespect to their other athletic programs. They have a lot of great athletes in a lot of sports, but LaPel basketball is king at LaPel High School.
It certainly is, and their head coach is Jimmy Howell, who's getting ready to win his 500 high school game as a head coach, and he was the head coach at Mount Vernon when I was playing at Greenfield, and we were arch rivals. So I've known Coach Howell a long time, and he does a great job. They love basketball up there. They've got a couple kids that seem like they've been starting for about 8 years. I'm going to call the IHSAA next week and see what's going on. But he does a great job, and their pregame and their ceremonies and things they do, to me, they harken back to what Indiana basketball is. They have the drum corps out there and the student section involved, and I love going up there to play.
Talk a little bit about that basketball team. What sort of matchup problems do they present?
Well, like I said, they've got a couple of guards that have been playing since they were freshmen. They're seniors this year, and they're hard-nosed, they're tough, they take after their coach. And they're just hard to play against. And they've got some bigger kids. They've got a 6'8" player now who's getting better and better every time. He's young, but you can tell he's starting to figure some things out. So they'll have that height advantage, and we'll have to find ways to use that to our advantage, maybe offensively, isolating Corey and doing some things like that. But it'll be a good challenge for us going on the road.
Looking a little further down the road, the 18th at New Pal, then the 22nd at Greenwood. New Pal with a record of 3-1. They're off to a great start. Greenwood's struggling a bit, even though they're under the direction of a longtime basketball coach. I believe in his 24th season, they're 0-2. Just give us a brief snapshot of those two basketball teams.
New Palestine's very good. They moved up to 4A last year in the reclassification and won the sectional that included Whiteland and Franklin and Center Grove, Perry Meridian. So they're a good basketball team. They've got a lot of guys back. They've got a 6'11" kid in the middle. They've got a 6'6" player on the wing who's going to play college basketball somewhere. He got 37 in their first game against Jennings County. And Adam Barton, their coach, does a really good job. Those kids, they just play so hard, and they share the basketball really well. So that'll be a good test for us on the road. Greenwood's always very disciplined. No matter what their record is, they're going to be hard to play against because Coach Hensley's been there for a long time. He's been there longer than these kids have been alive, and they're going to be fundamentally sound. And bottom line is, you're going to go over and win. You're going to have to earn it, and they're not going to give anything to you. That's for sure.
Well, after you take some time to celebrate the holidays and the Christmas season, we want to start promoting it now because we hope to pack the place during the holidays. Tell us about what's going on here at Beech Grove High School on December the 28th as we host Scecina.
Well, you mentioned we host Scecina, which is a big conference game for us. But along with that, before the game, we'll be honoring our 10-year anniversary of the 2003 Girls State Champion basketball team. Katie Gerald's obviously was Miss Basketball that year and the National Player of the Year also. And there's going to be a dinner in the cafeteria beforehand. And there'll be some tickets for those coming up, so you can come in and just talk to the girls and talk to the coaches and see what they're doing now, or talk about your favorite memories from that time. And then between the varsity and JV game, we'll have the girls out on the floor and recognize them out in front of the crowd. So hopefully it'll be a great night for the whole community.
I think it speaks well, as you said, a great night for the whole community, that this is happening on a night when we're hosting a boys basketball game and we're celebrating the girls basketball team. That's what we want to create here. We want swimmers rooting for wrestlers. We want wrestlers rooting for basketball players and basketball players rooting for swimmers and all that.
I think one of the things I've really enjoyed from the athletic director standpoint this fall, during the football season, we had a very dedicated crew of people that would follow the team around. And there were a couple of baseball players in that group, a couple of basketball players, girls basketball players, tennis players, and they would paint themselves up and cheer at the games. And now at the boys basketball games, I've seen football players and wrestlers, and it's kind of neat to see that support cross from one sport to another, and I think that's something that we've got to continue to build off of.
How about this holiday schedule? The 28th, Scecina at home, and then the 4th, the big boy-girl doubleheader against Roncalli. There are more and more holiday tournaments. That's a direction you've not yet gone because you've got a couple of games against a couple of big rivals here. You happy with just the 2 games during the holiday, or would you like to play more?
I think our kids play so much anymore with the way the rules have gone in the summer. They're playing plenty of basketball. At some point, you still have to practice basketball.
Sure.
And at some point, they still need to have a couple of days off, maybe to go see their grandma or go see aunts and uncles and do things with their family. So I think we have to keep that in perspective, not to mention the fact we've always played Scecina over the holiday, and that's been a good game. And we've always had that Roncalli game, girl-boy doubleheader, that's been a really good tradition right after the New Year. So I think those games work for us and our kids and our community.
I know your mindset throughout the course of the year is to get ready for the tournament, but after you get done with Roncalli on the 4th, regardless of where you are, from the time January rolls around, we get back in school on the 7th and move forward. That's when you really start developing that mindset that we really now have to start preparing for the section.
Absolutely. You want to be a little more set in your rotations and hopefully not have as many questions. Right now we're still answering questions about what might this guy do or what might this guy do, or you know, as a coach, you always have an idea about what you think your team's going to do, but sometimes you learn things when you get into a competitive environment. So hopefully after Christmas, you've got a lot of those questions answered. You can really start building towards postseason.
Well, to recap again, we never happy with a 20-point loss, but certainly some positives in that second half against Speedway, and then of course a big win over Tri-West. If you missed it, you missed a dandy. Anytime the Beech Grove Hornets are at home, freshman basketball team, JV, boys, girls, swimming and diving, whatever the case may be, folks, I continue to believe it's the purest form of sports entertainment left in this country, because it's young men and women who are playing simply for the love of the game. So get out and support the Hornets no matter what the sport. But again, the next opportunity to see them at home will be on the 28th against Cecina. Come out and honor Katie Geralds and all their outstanding teammates. Congratulate them for all that they did for this community and continue to do, by the way. And then we hope you'll pack the place on the 4th against Roncalli January. But if you want to follow them on the road, the 7th at Park Tudor and the 14th at LaPel. We'll be back with Coach English next week. We wish them all the luck Friday night against Park Tudor. Again, their record going into play this weekend is 3-1. For Beech Grove head basketball coach Matt English, I'm Mark James. Happy holidays again from all of us here on the Beech Grove Scouting Report.